the last thing I want to talk about is cultural diversity. So your book talks about it in a number of ways. First, I want you to realize that being aware of cultural differences does not mean that you are stigmatizing, categorizing, or stereotyping groups of people. It's just simply being aware of issues that might come up so you can be informed when you talk to clients, so you can understand a little bit about what they might be going through, and also so you can build on their strengths and identify how individuals in their culture seek help. And a great thing about being sensitive to diversity is that you can demonstrate respect. So you don't have to be the same as your clients to say, I respect who you are, and I know that you're different than me, and I'm interested in learning more about that and serving you in a way that's comfortable for you. For example, Mexican Americans are typically primarily focused on family cohesion. So it might be an issue if they are coming to America and the parents are perhaps still identifying with the Mexican culture, but the children are identifying with the American culture. This might cause a rift in their family dynamics, so it might be important for you to know that. In crisis situations as well, perhaps some family members reach out to the helping professionals, some do not, so you might just want to talk about that. Asian American individuals are typically from a collectivist viewpoint, and so they also emphasize the family over individual interests, so sometimes that might lead to crisis. I've seen a lot of clients that are Asian American that have great pressure to do well academically, and so this pressure for perfection might send them into depression or even suicidal ideation. Another example that your book gives is a typical focus for African Americans to have religion, spirituality, church going at the core of their identity and their coping skills. So if you were working with an African American, perhaps you could ask them, well, how do you cope, and how do you use your religion to help you get through crisis situations? That way they know that you respect that part of who they are and a very important part of their life. And it could be that they maybe don't. Everyone's different, so you just have to ask questions to figure out what their strengths are. And that ties back into the ABC model and figuring out what their coping mechanisms are and how to help them progress to higher levels of functioning after a crisis. Your book also talked about duplicity in individuals that are cultural minorities as far as gender orientation and sexual orientation. Typically, individuals that are not out, perhaps that are identified as gay, but they have a persona in public and then a different identification in their private lives, experience a lot of depression and anxiety related to that duplicity between the two identities. So if you have a client that's experiencing this type of developmental identity crisis, you might talk with them about that and help them figure out how to move forward. And then also I just wanted to make sure that I emphasize the fact that gender identity and sexual identity are two different things. And so, for example, if someone identifies as transgender, that might not necessarily mean that they're also gay or bisexual. So it's important for you to know these issues and know that they're different and be informed, especially if they're going through some type of crisis. And what I'll say overall about diversity is it's important to know common issues, but it's also really important to understand your clients as individuals because their experience might be different from someone who you might see in the same category as them. So we always want to demonstrate respect and a curiosity about who your clients are so you can help them in a way that is comfortable for them. And then finally, I encourage you to identify what your biases are, some things that might trigger you or some things you might not be comfortable with. That way you can work through those things before you actually start working with clients so you can be sure that you're serving them as best as you can. You don't have to have the same values as your clients or the same experiences to be able to be present with them as a caring person and to help them through their crisis. So just keep that in mind as you kind of move forward in your understanding of crisis intervention and reaching people as a helping professional. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about any of these specific topics, I'm happy to talk with you over email, and I'm also happy to meet with you during my office hours. So just let me know, send me an email, and we will talk about it. And if not, I wish you all the best as you continue to work through the weekly assignments and as you prepare for Exam 1. And then as you prepare for Exam 2 and your final exam at the end of the semester. More videos will come that will just hit on main topics. And until then, I hope you have a great week and a great rest of your semester.